slate. This week, the name on the marquee has got to be Johnny Eblen, who this past weekend at Bellator 299 at the 3 Arena in Dublin, Ireland, defeated Fabian Edwards by knockout. The official time coming 21 seconds of the third round. Mark, start us off. Give us your take of this fight and of Eblen's performance defending his Bellator middleweight strap.
Yeah, this was a good one. And it was honestly a really competitive fight right up until basically the point where Johnny Eblen found those big shots that finished it. I mean, Fabian Edwards showed a lot here. I've said it before. I never really got on board with Fabian Edwards. I expected he'd lose to Mousasi. I got that wrong. Obviously, he beat Mousasi. I expected he would get not handled here, but that Eblen would be the clearly better fighter. And I guess you could say he was, but in terms of up until the finish, they were pretty damn even. So Fabian Edwards has got me respecting his game more than I was previously. He was not afraid to pressure Eblen in this fight, despite the obvious threat of the takedown. He was walking him down. He was working his kicks. He was doing damage in the clinch. He had a lot of nice elbows in the clinch. And most impressively of all, he stuffed every takedown that Johnny went for, other than one where he hit the mat for about a second and he popped right back up. So I was really impressed by the takedown D from Fabian Edwards. I didn't know that he had reached that level with his takedown D. You know, it wasn't that long ago we saw him get out-wrestled by Austin Vanderford pretty clearly. So he has put a lot of work in, I'm sure, working with Leon, who also had to make similar type of improvements in his game to get to the point that he's at. So a lot of work between those two, I'm sure, and you could see it. So props to Fabian for that. But Johnny fought well, too. You know, he was playing the long game. He understood that he wasn't getting him down easy. He understood that he was across from a skilled striker. But he was also willing to strike, and he knew he was just going to kind of keep that pressure himself and keep mixing it up so that Fabian had to wrestle defensively and make him clinch. And I'm sure he was thinking, you know, this will pay dividends as the fight goes on cardio-wise. But it didn't end up mattering. You know, he threw back-to-back right hooks early in the third. Edwards blocked the first one. Didn't expect another one coming immediately after it, the way Eblen chose to throw that. Took his hand down and got caught flush, and he went down, and Johnny Eblen is a monster on top, and he showed that again here. Just huge pressure, nasty elbows, and he put Fabian Edwards out cold. And it's a good thing he did, too, because I don't know that I realized it during the fight, but then you see as soon as that fight ends how bad that cut on Johnny Eblen's eye was.
Yeah.
Like, it's not impossible that if that fight kept going, that a doctor would have looked at that cut and been like, this may be a wrap. So it's a good thing for him that he got Fabian Edwards out of there when he did. But, yeah, he keeps rolling. Another big win for him. And he also changed his nickname from Diamond Hands to Pressure, which may be an even bigger win because Diamond Hands was horrible and Pressure makes plenty of sense. So 2 wins for Johnny this weekend.
Omar, let's bring you in here. What were your thoughts on Eblen's performance defending his strap in front of the Irish crowd in what was, by the way, Bellator's 10th trip to Dublin?
I mean, I thought it was a great performance. I thought the pressure definitely was one of the deciding factors, but I thought his explosiveness, was really what made the difference. The explosiveness from Eblen, I thought, is what nullified a lot of the opportunities I think Edwards thought he might have on the entry, right? It looked like he was trying to counter a lot of times when Eblen was trying to enter and close distance and go for the takedown. But the explosiveness from Eblen, I think, kind of ruined those moments for Edwards. And he never adjusted to the timing, never was able to find those openings as cleanly because there was a lot of, he was looking for uppercuts, like lead uppercuts as he was coming in. He was looking for knees at certain times, but was just getting stuffed before he could actually get them off. So credit to Johnny Eblen for that as well. And like Mark said, after a certain point, it really didn't matter. Those right hands really put him out. He dropped to the floor. He was obviously still in it for a little bit, but you could tell he was dazed for sure. And it just got worse and worse from there.
I mean, you're right, Mark. The name change, the nickname change is a win because the pressure in top position that Johnny Eblen brings is something to behold. It's scary. It's scary. He's a savage on the ground, man.
Yeah, we do have to give credit to Edwards, though. I mean, we've seen other people, falter under that pressure. And frankly, by the third round, I think he just kind of got caught I don't think he was expecting 2 right hands. I mean, not a lot of people are. That's not a typical combo you see, especially from somebody who doesn't strike, right? I mean, you can change the timing, you can do that stuff, but it was well done. But the first 2 rounds, I think, like Mark pointed out, I mean, they were competitive. I mean, Edwards was in it. He did not back down from a fight. They were both going at it. Anytime the takedown happened, Edwards did his best to come back up, keep hands on the wrists, not allow Johnny Eblen to get complete control of his body. I mean, there were a lot of pluses on Edwards' side, but that that 2 right hand combination just ruined his life.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think Edwards showed that he is a quality middleweight in today's MMA, and I think Eblen did what you would hope he could do if he's as good as he says he is.
So this is Johnny Eblen's 2nd title defense, his 3rd consecutive title win with the Bellator middleweight scrap since taking it from Gegard Mousasi. Also, he stays undefeated. His unblemished record now 14-0 for Pressure Eblen. Does he put it in the middle or the beginning? Johnny Pressure? Is it Johnny Pressure?
I think they might have said it in the middle.
Johnny Pressure. What a name.
Yeah.
So that being said, he stays undefeated. His 2nd title defense. Mark, what do you think could be next for the Bellator middleweight champ?
There's really not anyone for him to fight right now, at least not anyone clear. Bellator's middleweight division is not as deep as some of their other divisions, and Eblen has beaten the top 3 guys in a row at this point. He beat Gegard, he beat Tokov, and he beat Fabian Edwards. So, I don't know. There's nothing else really booked at this moment. Maybe, if people may not remember, but Douglas Lima recently moved up to middleweight, and he won his first fight at middleweight, and obviously he's a name. So maybe you take him and someone like an Aaron Jeffrey, who's won 3 out of 4, put them in against each other, and the winner gets a shot. I'm not sure what else makes much sense. But yeah, there's no one who's the obvious choice.
Omar, any other thoughts on that?
Not so much. I mean, Mark is the one who kind of knows those rankings a lot better than I do. The UFC rankings are enough for me.
Yeah, Bellator is sort of the Mark beat. Well, so is everything else. Mark's obsessed. It's okay.
And I do think Fabian is easier to match up. I think you can put him against Anatoly Tokov, and that actually works pretty perfectly, and I'd like to see who comes out of that one.
I was just going to ask about Fabian. Wonderful. Okay, in the interest of time, hey, congrats to Johnny Eblen for making me a believer. I don't think I've taken Johnny Eblen in many of these past few championship bouts, and it's about.
Did you this time? You did, right? Yeah, you did.
Quite possibly. I finally I bought my ticket, guys, to the Johnny Eblen train. Okay, let's move on in the interest of time. In the co-main event, Bellator 299, once again going down in Dublin, Ireland at the 3 Arena. In the featherweight division, Aaron Pico gets another dub, TKOing Pedro Carvalho in the first round. The official time, 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Omar, start us off this time. What are your thoughts on Aaron Pico winning again and winning impressively once again?
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Pico's a scary, scary dude, man. I mean, in this fight, it didn't even really end up in a striking match, right? I mean, Aaron Pico immediately went for a takedown, tried to go for control, was beating on Carvalho while he was doing it. And then once we got to a point where it just kind of seemed like Carvalho was drowning, and he just and was drowning quickly. And gave up. It put himself in a really bad position to take a lot of damage. Didn't look great doing it, right? Like turtled up pretty hard. Basically went belly down. I mean, it was wild. It was a great performance from Pico.
Mark, Pico with consecutive wins once again. Looked so impressive this time, getting the very tough and very talented Pedro Carvalho out of there in the first. What are your thoughts?
Bro, he ran through Pedro Carvalho. I mean, he bullied him for every single second that fight lasted. He still fights a bit wild. That's the one concern I think there is when you consider Aaron Pico fighting like a Patricio Pitbull, is that it does sort of still feel like he's there to be hit at times. But he does so many things so well. I mean, Pedro Carvalho didn't stand a chance of stopping a takedown. Anytime Pico wanted to take him down, he literally just ran through him. His boxing is beautiful, as always. He's always carried power. You saw the uppercut in this fight that freaking dropped Carvalho to start the finish. I mean, it's an obvious statement, but the future is still very bright for Aaron Pico. And that fight, in a little nutshell, showed you everything that you love about this guy. He's an elite wrestler. He's got nasty hands. He carries power. He's got finishing instinct. It's a lot in a package for dudes to have to overcome.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Aaron Pico, still only 27 years old. For those who need to be reminded, he is a Bellator homegrown talent. He, in his career, let me pull him back up here. Where did it go? Aaron Pico, whatever his record is, he began at Bellator. Every single one of his pro MMA bouts have been under the Bellator banner. Bellator, Mark, I know that you don't maintain Bellator rankings. Maybe you should start at some point as well. We need those world rankings, buddy. We need those. We need those on my desk by Friday. Bellator ranks Pico in their featherweight division at number 2 behind Adam Borch and Patricio Pitbull, who is the champion right now. What are your thoughts on what could be next for the young and dangerous Pico?
I know Patricio Pitbull is hurt. He got surgery in July. I remember him saying that he was probably going to be out for 6 months, so we probably don't see him fighting until spring at the earliest. But it honestly works out okay, in my opinion, because I think that both Aaron Pico and Jeremy Kennedy have a claim to deserving a title shot, and now Pitbull's out, so you run that right back, in my opinion. We didn't really get to see that fight, of course. Pico's shoulder came out. You can run it back now. You can do it for an interim title even, if you want to do it that way. Settle that, and then the winner is waiting for the return of Pitbull.
Omar, what are your thoughts?
I like that. I like that. Especially because of the way that fight ended. That fight ended with the bullshit. So,
Mark, do you have any thoughts on who could be next for Pedro Carvalho at 145 pounds at Bellator?
I didn't. I just did the winners going forward at this point.
that's fine.
But I can try to think, since you asked quickly. Geez, I'm not seeing.
They have him
anyone
ranked 5th.
I necessarily love here. I mean, I'd love to say Kieran Clark, who
Right behind
freaking
Burnell.
keeps winning, but I don't think they want to. They're really taking it slow with Kieran Clark, so I'm not sure he's going to get that type of a jump. Keone Diggs, I guess I'll throw out.
Sure. Okay, let's move on. Bellator 299 once again went down at the 3 Arena in Dublin, Ireland, and probably one of the more popular Irish fighters on the Bellator roster fought and unfortunately was defeated on this night in the women's featherweight division. Sara Collins defeated Sinead Kavanagh by a split decision after 3 rounds. Mark, what are your thoughts?
Sara Collins is pretty solid, man. You know, she came in here, she gave no shits, hostile environment, veteran opponent, power coming at her, and she didn't care. She never even grappled. It was a straight striking match, and she won it. Like, from jump, she came out, she kept up the pressure, she stayed calm, she looked comfortable on the feet. I mean, in round 2, she started to land her kicks to the body, kicks to the legs, and the body kicks hurt Kavanagh. And then by round 3, I honestly feel like Kavanagh had gotten pretty tentative. I don't know if she somehow thought she was ahead. I do think she probably won round 1, but she didn't win round 2. So I don't know what – I don't know. It looked like she really – maybe it was just that she didn't want to take any more shots to that body. But Collins took over that fight, and I will definitely be interested to see what she does in her next time out, because if she did win this fight, I thought she was going to have to do it with leaning on her judo and eventually the grappling, and she didn't even go that route. So, yeah, pretty intriguing.
Omar, what are your thoughts? The Irish star on this Dublin card unfortunately did not get a win for her home country on this card. Sara Collins spoiled the party. What are your thoughts?
I thought Sara Collins showed way more technique in that fight than Kavanagh did. Kavanagh seems like the type of fighter that's very reliant on her strength and power and landing the big shots, but Collins was very content fighting from the outside. And let me tell you, I am a big fan of a good front kick, a good teep, a good lead. And she was digging that toe right into Kavanagh's soul. I mean, at least 3 or 4 times did she dig her toes right deep into her solar plexus. And it was quick. I mean, you really don't need much. A lot of people think you got to throw a lot of power in there. You don't need much, man. A really good teep is basically a jab with your foot. And when you have no sneakers on, and I would definitely take at least one of my sneakers off if I got into a street fight. I'm digging toes right into your soul, 100%.
Why not just dig the toe of your shoe?
Because it's not the same. It's not the same.
Doesn't dig the same.
I would kind of equate it to sort of like if I dig into your body with like the blunt end of a hammer, it's gonna suck. But if I dig like a screwdriver, it's gonna suck a lot more. You know what I mean?
I get it.
And you know, if you point them right, you got like 5 little tiny nubbin screwdrivers on you. So
yeah, teeps are great, man.
I love them. They save lives. It's true. It's true.
Let's talk quickly now about what could be next for Sarah Collins at women's featherweight. Mark?
I think if you're Bellator, you're always looking for new contenders at featherweight. So I think you give her another established fighter. Now, she is only 5-0, so I don't want to completely rush her, but I think putting her across from another vet like an Arlene Blenko would be perfect. Okay. I also want to say, I just realized that I picked Keone Diggs for the last one, totally forgetting that he left Bellator and signed with the PFL. So I would like to edit that matchup that I chose and actually say James Gallagher versus Pedro Carvalho, which I like better anyway.
Thank you.
That's a good one.
Correcting the record. Okay, let's move on. 2 more for Bellator, and then we're going to hop over to UFC. Back in the Bellator featherweights division, Mads Burnell with the hot mic moment of the night got the win.
Guy.
Oh my God, Mads Burnell. How do you say this kid's last name? Daniel Weichel. Weichel with the V. That's right. Burnell gets the win by unanimous decision. The scores are at 29-28, 30-27, and 30-27. All for Mads. Omar, start us off this time. What are your thoughts of Burnell's performance?
Like, I don't. Maybe I'm in the minority. I thought Weichel got round 1. I mean, I guess there was one judge that I think gave Weichel round 1, but
it was really close. I can't remember which way I scored it, but yeah, the 2 that ensured Mads won were 2 and 3. Yeah. Weichel, I might have thought Weichel got 1. Yeah. 2
and 3 were a shit show because that you want to talk about pressure? Like we just spent all this time talking about Johnny Eblen and pressure. Mads Burnell is the epitome of pressure. That dude is terrifying. I mean, you want to talk about seeing the devil as he's walking forward at you? That man was smiling half the time. Nothing was really phasing him, pushing forward. I don't think at any time during 2 or 3, Weichel was able to not move back. I mean, he was just trying to run away the entire time while still trying to engage. And by the time he realized that he had just been running circles in the oh, here we go. Which one is it? Decagon? Circle?
That's a circle. It's a circle.
It's a circle. Who had a Decagon? Somebody had a Decagon. I didn't just make that up. Who had a Decagon?
Maybe Strikeforce or
did Strikeforce have one?
I don't know.
Bellator definitely is a circle.
All right, circle. So he was running. He was running that whole time trying to engage with Mads Burnell, and it wasn't working. And Mads was landing some nasty shit to the body, to the head, all while moving forward and just walking him down. It's terrifying. His ability to do that and that being the game plan and it working seemingly too many times is just, it's terrifying.
Most promoters just call it a cage because it probably is like a hexagon shape. And even if it is an octagon, they can't call it an octagon because the UFC copyrighted that.
Right. Trademark.
When I announced for XFC, they kind of wanted the X branding. So they had a cage in the shape of a hexagon, which is 6 sides. Right. And they wanted me to always say the hexagon. And the ring card girls were called the Hex Girls.
That's
I
not
was
it.
like, guys, this is kind of it's not it, man.
That's not
That's
it.
that's stupid.
I'd be like, coming to the hexagon first. I was like, this sounds a little forced, guys. No, but it was cool. Let's move on.
Wait,
Keep on.
can I talk about Mads Burnell?
No,
That's
Mark,
okay,
no.
okay.
Yes.
This was a Mads Burnell fight. He's a weird fighter, man, because he takes some frustrating losses that make you question why you loved him so much, but then he puts together performances like this, and he just reminds you all over again. Like and Omar said this, but just to reiterate, he walked Weichel down all fight. He showed off his hands, beautiful combos, elbows mixed in. He used his grappling to take over anytime Weichel tried to bring it to the mat, which is another thing about Mads Burnell, that he's such a nasty grappler, but half the time he's like, no, I don't really want to do that. So he's a wild dude. And then obviously on the mic, he's a wild dude too. But like the Carvalho loss that he took, that one still baffles me how Carvalho beat him. But aside from that, it has taken a pretty damn good fighter to beat Mads Burnell. And Weichel, as well-rounded as he is at the end. And then, of course, he actually called it a career at the end of this fight. Whatever he was, 56, 7 something fights into his career. So not totally unexpected there. But yeah, Mads Burnell is a dog, and he's not going away. And one of these days, I feel like he'll finally break through and beat one of these higher-level guys that, like how he fought Adam Boric and couldn't get it done, a guy like that, and really get himself maybe a title shot at some point here in Bellator.
So Burnell, once again with consecutive wins after back-to-back losses to Boric and Carvalho. He improves to 18-5 as a pro inside the cage with his 8th decision win. Mark, what do you think could be next for this Bellator featherweight where is he from? Denmark.
So as you said, he has lost a couple in a row. I don't think he's shooting right back up. So I will say there's an upcoming fight. Henry Corrales has won 3 in a row, and Kai Kamaka has won 2 in a row. They're fighting each other at Bellator 300, and I think the winner of that would be a great action opponent for our boy Mads.
What exactly did he say on the mic? It's called.
His next opponent is a little lady
wife?
he's got back home, and he's looking to blow her back out into a million pieces, something along those lines.
Something romantic, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not leaving too much up to the imagination with that one.
Let's see. My next opponent is a little lady back home who I want to blow her back into absolute pieces.
Wow. We're coming a little hot.
I got to give him credit. It made sense. I mean, it was a coherent sentence.
And then he took a shot at the Dublin crowd right before that, too. Did you catch that?
No.
He was like, just want to say to all the crowd, if you meet me at the bar tonight, drinks are on me. And they all start cheering. And he's like, wait, I'm not done. So they be quiet. And he goes, because you're all going to need him with how gross all your women look here.
Oh, my God.
The disrespect to the Irish women. Ireland is a beautiful country with beautiful people. Come on. And that accent, man.
He's always been a character, though. Not necessarily a heel, but always a character.
I wonder what his full name is. Do you think it's Mads or something?
Madsword?
Because he's Danish.
Madsword? What did you just say?
Madswell? I was kidding. I was making up. Madswell is funny.
That's his name. It's Mads Zoran Burnell.
Right.
Zoran
is his name.
Oh, wow.
What would it be short for?
Madsmillion. Okay,
maybe he's just like Danish as fuck, you know?
Okay, welterweight division, last one before we hop over to UFC. In the welterweight division, opening up the main card for Bellator 299 in Dublin. Levan, how do you say this? Chokheli?
Chokheli.
Chokheli?
Yeah.
Defeated Sabah Homasi by knockout via front kick, 151 of round number 1. Mark, start us off this time. What were your thoughts of this very short fight?
This man, Levan Chokheli, now I'm forgetting, Chokheli, right? Yeah, I can't even say it, had the highlight of the entire weekend. Bellator, UFC, whatever it may be. One of the best front kicks you'll ever see in your life, and immediately put Sabah Homasi out cold. Just an unbelievable finish, an unbelievable way to put out a guy like Homasi, who's known for being in wars. And these two were slinging some heavy leather while it lasted, but it's Levan who comes up with the big W. And he's on a great run right now. That's 3 in a row, and that's obviously a highlight that's going to push him into what will probably be a noteworthy fight.
Yeah, man. Omar, your thoughts before we depart Bellator?
That front kick is wild, man. First of all, it was an extremely fast front kick. Even the cameras and the replays didn't even capture it to its full potential. I feel like it was even too quick on the slow-mo. The one thing I did notice is it went through the middle of his guard, because Homasi did have his guard up. It went right through the middle of his guard, and it clipped him on the side of his head. It didn't. First, I thought when it first happened, I thought he got Tony Ferguson. I thought his whole shit got messed up. And then, they showed the replay, and even, the slow-mo, as much as it didn't capture, it did show that it didn't hit him from under. It hit him from the side, and it clipped him right on the temple, and just, I've never seen somebody's lights go. It was literally like he just, kicked the switch, a literal switch that turned Sabah Homasi off. It was wild. I've never seen anything like that. It was crazy.
It was a big follow-up shot, too, and Sabah was down and out for a while.
Starched. Yeah. He was starched.
The announcers were sounding pretty concerned for a minute there, but thankfully it seemed like he was all right eventually.
With this highlight knockout, Levan Chokheli, previously unranked in Bellator, it earned him the number 10 spot, right behind Brennan Ward, Lorenz Larkin, and Douglas Lima. Mark, what do you think could be next for this heavy hitter?
I will say Lorenz Larkin. He's coming off a tough loss to Andrei Koreshkov. He's looking to bounce back. He's an established name for Levan to try to overcome. I feel like he has earned that. If not him, Neiman Gracie could work as well in a wholly different type of style matchup. Obviously, the Larkin one would be pitting the strikers against each other. The Gracie one would be grappler, striker. But Levan can wrestle a bit as well. So either of those I'd like to see. I feel like he has earned a shot against one of these established Bellator names.
Nice.